This is the Outback Hoops Basketball Podcast, where I talk hoops and everything in between. I speak my mind while you enjoy the ride. I'm an Australian product, so prepare to be starstruck from the land down under.
Come on, guys, let's go!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very quick edition of the Outback Hoops Basketball Podcast. Today, I'm in a car in this lovely weather. Don't know if you can see it, but yeah, it's just the Geelong Beach. Looks absolutely fantastic. Let me just take you back to here. Alright, so there's plenty to talk about on this episode. So I'm sorry if you get a little bit of background noise because I might have to go and open the window because this is a little bit warm. We know Australia, it can be really hot sometimes. Yeah, there's only a couple games left to go this season. And man, I tried to make a playoff bracket and I just cannot decipher between which teams are going to end up in that top 10. We know the first, the second, the third seed, maybe the fourth is a lock. But the rest of it, all the way through to maybe 12th, because I feel like Portland, they've kind of slipped off. I know they got some of their players back from injury, but I just don't feel like they're going to be tracking upwards the rest of the season. Who knows? I could be wrong. There's still time left. They're not officially eliminated, but their chances are really slim. And oh boy, I do want to talk about these Los Angeles Lakers. Just, why would you bench Anthony Davis back-to-back? Now, but they're saying they're healthy, he's moving well and everything. But we're versing the Houston Rockets, right? That is a win that should have happened, and it didn't. The Lakers had absolutely no big men. They should have signed a big man. I don't know the answers to DeMarcus Cousins. I know Mo Bamba. Now, probably won't. I think most of us are thinking that Mo Bamba is going to be out for the season. But you got to get another big man in there. Thomas Bryant was really handy. He won a whole bunch of games before he went to the Nuggets. I know he requested the trade. But they've got to figure out something to do with center. Even if it's just, bring back Andrew Bogut. Old Andrew Bogut from, I think he's in Sydney at the moment, he resides. I don't know. What you ever got to do, you got to get at least a big man in there. I don't know if he can still do 10-day contracts left, but certainly time to do that because it had absolutely no big men. And the Rockets were just going in the paint and absolutely destroying them. Now, I will say, I was listening to the game on the radio, and I remember the announcers, I was listening to the Lakers radio broadcast, and they were like, why are they shooting threes? Because apparently the Rockets were just shooting heaps of ridiculous three-pointers. I'm like, why? You should be benching those players who are shooting three-pointers because you should go and attack the paint because the Lakers have no interior defense. Yeah, that's my opinion on that one. Now, the Lakers are sitting... I'll have to double check because I think maybe I think they drop out of that the play-in with that loss because there's a lot of teams tied at, I believe, 13 games behind originally, and I think it's changed then. So I don't know what we're going to do about these Los Angeles Lakers. I just do not know. Anyway, there's a lot more to talk about than just the Los Angeles Lakers. I'll probably get to them at some point because I just love talking about them. But yeah, so now I want to talk about my NBA playoff bracket. I've kind of developed this and it's going to be wrong. I know it's going to be wrong, but I feel pretty confident that this is probably the best we're going to get. So I think we can tell that the first three seeds are pretty much locked. So we've got the Nuggets, we've got the Kings, and I believe the Grizzlies will be in third. Now, Ja Morant was officially suspended today for 8 games for breaching NBA conduct. I don't want to get into that. It's not really my business. But the Grizzlies have been playing fine without him. There's been a couple of games where they've kind of struggled because Steven Adams has been out. However, they've still been playing well, and I feel like there are enough games ahead at this point to kind of lock in that third seed. And then this is kind of where it kind of gets a bit interesting. So, and I'm including these results after the play-in tournament. So let's say that play-in tournament is officially finished. So I've got the Warriors in 4 because Steph Curry is back and I feel like, maybe they're bored. We don't know, maybe Steve Kerr's voice has been drowned out after, so many title runs. You kind of just get a bit bored of the same thing being repeated over and over to you again. I'm sure maybe they'll pick it up. We'll see how we go. But yeah, Steph Curry is back. I feel like the Warriors are going to start playing a little bit better again. Maybe be about 500 the rest of the way. Who knows? But I've got them about the fourth spot. I've got the Suns in fifth. We know that Durant's going to be out for a little while. But to be honest, we're not really worried about the Suns. Wherever they finish, we know that when it's playoff time, hopefully Kevin Durant, he has a pretty good history with recovering from various ankle injuries. So I'm pretty confident that he can at least still win a couple games in the playoffs for the Suns. So I'm not really too worried about the Suns. So, yeah, nothing to worry about. I've got the Clippers in 6. Now, this is a bit of a tough one because I don't know what's going on with the Clippers. They got Russell Westbrook. They haven't been playing fantastic, and it's not entirely all Russell Westbrook's fault. I feel like he's definitely been playing the role for them. I definitely need to check out a couple more games, but I don't know what's going on with the Clippers. They're just very unpredictable. But I feel like once the playoffs roll around, the sky's the limit for them. We know Kawhi is an excellent player, especially in the playoffs. We saw that in the Toronto series a couple of years ago. Sure, he's had a couple of injuries. Sure, maybe he's slowed off, but over the last couple of weeks, Kawhi's been fantastic when he's been on the floor. And then I've got the Mavericks at number 7. Mavericks are doing pretty well. They're consistently staying between like the 4th and the 6th seed along the way. But then they had those big trades during the trade deadline where they got Kyrie Irving from the Brooklyn Nets. I've actually been surprised. The Brooklyn Nets have actually been pretty good. Miles Bridges has been fantastic for them. And I feel like the Suns will miss Miles Bridges in the playoffs because he was an excellent role player for them. He was a great two-way. He was a good shooter, great defender. I think, was he in contention for Defensive Player of the Year? We'll see how that one turns out. But, yeah, I feel like the Mavericks, they just got no defense. Christian Wood, he hasn't been typically known. He's typically known for a more offensive player, but I feel like, the Mavericks are going to kind of struggle. They can score as many points as they like, but they just got to keep their defense afloat because we know that Luka and Kyrie Irving are going to bring it during the playoff time. And then, 8th seed. After today, I don't know, man. I don't know. But I've got the Lakers at number 8. Sky's the limit for them. I feel like they'll be in the play-in. They'll just pass the play-in, and they're going to be in the 8th seed. Depending if there's a healthy. I feel like LeBron will be fine. Honestly, he's sitting courtside during the New Orleans game last night, just having a bit of popcorn, chilling out, writing a book for a fan. We'll see how we go. You can never count out LeBron in the playoffs, but you just never know. You really just never know with them. I reckon Portland's pretty much out. Utah just out. They'll be in the play-in, but they'll be out. I feel like I'm missing someone, actually. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. Oh, Minnesota. I completely forgot about them. I don't know what's going on with Karl Anthony Towns. Can they get it together? I don't know. This is me. I don't know. Anyway, so that's my thoughts on the Western Conference. Alright, so this is my seeding. So in the first round, we're going to be having... Now, this is not exactly order, but... So we'll have the Nuggets and the Lakers, I believe, in the first round. So that'll be that number 1 seed to the number 8 seed. And then we've got Kings Mavs, Suns Warriors, and Clippers Grizzlies. All those games are going to be pretty close, I imagine. I've got the Nuggets winning against the Lakers. I know it's a sin, but I feel like this is the Nuggets here. Now, in the past, we know in the bubble season, Jokic got destroyed by Anthony Davis. So it's really tough to judge, but I feel like Nuggets have got just a lot more depth this year. We know Jamal Murray, he's coming ready to go. Starting to look back to that player that he was before the injuries. Got Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., not known for defense. Offense is okay. Very tough to know. We've got Thomas Bryant on the bench. Oh, who else did they pick up? I can't remember, but yeah, I feel like the Nuggets are going to pull out against the Lakers this year. Just a lot more of a stronger team. Kings and the Mavericks. This is going to be an interesting one. However, I feel like the Kings are going to win this. They just look good all year. De'Aaron Fox is playing awesome. Domantas Sabonis is playing awesome. And again, it depends on the Mavericks' defense. Sky's the limit for the Mavericks. Their defense is just the question. And they haven't been playing particularly well of late, so who knows what's going to happen there. Next series, I've got the Suns and the Warriors. And that's a good first round. All these Western Conference first rounds are going to be excellent. I know that. We've had those years where we just know that the top seed is just going to absolutely thrash the 8th seed. So what? But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I reckon it's going to be pushed to 6-7 games. But I'm going the Suns. You just can't count Kevin Durant. He's just so consistent. We know he's probably going to play alright after the injuries. We're not really worried. The Warriors, we know they're capable to score really big. So it's going to be tough, but I feel like I can pick the Suns. And then the final series I got here is the Grizzlies and the Clippers. This one's interesting because we know that the Clippers are going to play really well, but we also know that the Grizzlies have been playing well even without Ja Morant. And Ja Morant, it lifts that team just to not be on that edge of being really, really talented, but they play really well without him. And he's going to come. So they suspended him for 8 games, but some of the games that he's already missed on counts as some of those suspended games. It's really tough to know. Is there enough chemistry? Yeah, I think so. But I feel like this is going to be pushed to another 7 games again. But I'm going to go the Clippers. Next up, I've got the Nuggets Suns and the Clippers Kings. Both these series are going to be fantastic. I feel like Clippers Kings will go to 6. Nuggets Suns will go to 7. They're just honestly really tired. And for this series, it's going to really depend on the Suns and DeAndre Ayton. Sometimes I've had some questions about him, but if he plays really well, then the sky's the limit for the team. And I feel like with Kevin Durant helping out a little bit on the defensive end, DeAndre Ayton's going to have a lot less attention and he can dominate the boards and do what he does best. I'm picking the Suns to win that particular game. And then Clippers Kings. Again, it's going to be tight. Maybe not quite as tight as that Suns second round against the Nuggets. But I'm picking the Clippers to win that game. I feel like, a lot more championship experience. Maybe not Paul George as such in terms of championship experience, but there's a lot of veterans on the Clippers, and Kawhi Leonard, he's been to finals. He knows what to do. Though he's a silent leader, I feel like he can definitely lead the team over the edge. In the final round, we've got Suns and the Clippers. I feel like the Suns are going to beat the Clippers. It's going to be tight. It's going to be a 7-game series, but I feel like they're going to win. Just me. Alright, now I'm going to talk about the Eastern Conference. This is an interesting one because I feel like the seeds are going to be pretty much locked, except maybe the one between the 7th spot and the 10th spot. Maybe not 10, actually. Shit. Yeah, maybe not the 10th spot, maybe maybe 11th. I don't know, it's tough. Because there's a couple teams trying to get in, you got your Raptors, you got your Wizards, you got your Atlanta, you got your Bulls, possibly. They're going to be in and out of that plane. So the first seed, I got the Celtics. I got Milwaukee at 2nd, Cavs at 3rd, 76ers at 4th, Knicks at 5th, 6 Miami, 7 the Nets, and 8 Atlanta. It's kind of funny because when I originally created this list a little while ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I actually had the Nets out, but they've actually been playing really well, and they've got a lot of role players in the team. They don't necessarily have a star player, but Bridges is playing absolutely fantastic. And then you got really good bench players. That team is set up for a championship, but they just need that star player to go and push them over the edge, kind of that go-to kind of scorer. Bridges is going to be a go-to scorer, but you're just going to need that superstar player. So in the first round, I will have Celtics Atlanta. I'm going to have to choose maybe in 5-6 games, Celtics to win. They've got championship experience. They had a really weird loss against Houston the other day. I will say that. However, I feel like Celtics, they're on a mission. They lost the NBA Finals last year, and there's nothing to stop them from... Even maybe Milwaukee. I feel like Maybe Cavs, but I feel like Milwaukee is the biggest threat to the Celtics. And yeah, and they've actually got a point guard this year. We've got Malcolm Brogdon, who's on the Celtics this year, and I feel like he's going to lift. And that was that missing piece they needed. They needed that point guard to kind of go and help direct the traffic on the floor and help kind of set up the players. You know, they had Jaylen Brown and a couple other role players, and it just didn't quite fit. But Malcolm Brogdon, he's a great 3-point shooter, so he brings another level of attention. But yeah, sky's the limit for the Celtics, but I picked the Celtics to win this round against Atlanta. Next I've got Milwaukee and the Nets. I feel like in maybe 5 games, Milwaukee's been absolutely fantastic all year. Can't say anything to complain about them. They've got a lot more depth. They got Mars Leonard, excellent 3-point shooter. Hasn't been in the league for a little while, but he's a good 3-point shooter. Gives him some size, not known for his defense. Who else did they add? Jay Crowder, he's a really excellent 2-way. Getting a little bit older in age. However, he's always been a really consistent 2-way player, provide a bit of shooting for you and a little bit of defense, particularly on the perimeter. I've got the Cavaliers and Miami Heat in the next round. This is going to be a close series because we know that Miami a couple of years ago in the NBA bubble were in the finals. We had Jimmy Butler turn into a god. You can't count them out, but they just haven't looked particularly good this year. We thought the Kevin Love move was going to be better for them, but unfortunately it just didn't happen. And they kind of stayed in that kind of spot. We thought Duncan Robinson was going to be better. You know, he got paid a massive contract for playing really well after the bubble. It just hasn't turned out that way. Then Tyler Hero, you just don't hear much about. I probably need to watch a couple more of their games, but I don't know what's happening there. And then the final series, with the Cavs in Miami, I feel like it's going to go to 7 games. And I picked the Cavs to be on top there. And then the last game is the 76ers and Knicks. Now, we want the Knicks to win, especially for Stephen A. You know, it'd be good to see. It's good for the NBA when the Knicks and the Lakers are in finals contention and they're playing all season round. However, I feel like the 76ers, Joel Embiid, most likely going to be MVP candidate. I feel like Jokic has kind of dropped a little bit in that MVP candidate. But I feel like that Joel Embiid has kind of risen above the occasion. He's got James Harden on him. James Harden's done wonderfully to kind of fit in that team and kind of fill in that kind of point guard shooting type of role. Not great in defense, but it's alright. But Joel Embiid has been on a mission. They've been playing absolutely fantastic. Great seeding. And James Harden and Joel Embiid, you know, they've got a bit more chemistry this year. Couple question marks towards the depth. But they do have, PJ Tucker. Tobias Harris hasn't been playing great for them. And then they've also got Tyrese Maxey too, who can definitely be capable of winning a game for you. But yeah, I'm picking the 76ers to win this game. Well, the series. Knicks, I'm saying 5 to 6 games, honestly. Very tough to know. And guess what? It's actually starting to rain outside. See, Australia has very interesting weather, if you don't know. I watched a documentary the other day and they were showing how unpredictable and how interesting the weather is in Australia and how, you know, the mountains kind of block the outback and why the outback doesn't get rain and then why we get interesting fronts and cyclones and stuff. Very interesting. Definitely go check that out. So I've got the 76ers and the Celtics and then Milwaukee and the Cavaliers. I'm picking Celtics to win against the 76ers. Even though I feel like Joel Embiid is going to have a monster series. You know, I mean, Robert Williams has been a pretty good center. I just feel like the Celtics have got more to prove. And they're going to be a bit more hungry to win. Though you can guess, you know, it's going to go 7 games. I know it's going to go 7 games. It's going to be interesting. Hopefully James Harden has some big games. But you just never know. And then I got Milwaukee Cavs. Milwaukee, I feel like they're going to win this. Though, you know, Cavaliers might give them a little bit of trouble because they've got some big men on the team. I definitely feel like that the Milwaukee Bucks are going to win this. Again, as I mentioned earlier, they've just got the depth. They've got championship experience. They've got, you know, Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, who Giannis kindly paid the fine for. And then we've also got other players, for example, did I say Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday? I think so. But yeah, I picked them to win the series. And then I have Celtics, Milwaukee, gonna be tight. I'm gonna pick Milwaukee. I honestly feel like Giannis is gonna have a big series, and there's just more. I don't know. It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be 7 games, and it's gonna be a really great series. But I feel like Milwaukee are gonna win. They've just been unstoppable all year. Milwaukee Suns. That's an interesting one because both teams have depth. Both teams have defense. Both teams have shooting. But I'm picking Milwaukee. Despite Devin Booker and Kevin Durant on the team, I feel like Milwaukee does have the defense to be able to not stop them, but at least contain them in a little bit. And, on DeAndre Ayton's going to have a lot of work cut up for him by, having to face Giannis as well as Brook Lopez. There's just a lot of size in that team. But yeah, so that's how I believe the NBA is going to go. There's been people pointing at me saying, "Oh my god, you must be some famous podcaster." Am I really? No, not really. But yeah, I feel like the Milwaukee is going to win the championship this year. I could be wrong. Seeds are going to change. Matchups are going to change. But I'm picking Milwaukee to win the NBA championship this year. Next up, I want to talk about the Charlotte Hornets. They're a team that we just never known them to be good. They had Kemba Walker for a couple of years. That gave them a bit of light. There's a couple of times that they've, made the 7th, 8th seed. Or they just missed the playoffs completely. But otherwise, what do you say about them? And the Charlotte Bobcats, should I say? Not that great. They had a couple of good years of Al Jefferson, but they've just never been good. And they still aren't good to this day. Now they're going for a much more younger team. There's, players that we definitely thought were going to be really good. LaMelo Ball, I drafted him a couple of years ago. He's definitely looks like a star. And they're eligible to go and I believe sign him to a rookie extension, I believe. Yeah, so he's got an eligible contract extension. And, I think the Charlotte Hornets would definitely want to try to lock him up, but they just had bad luck with injuries. We already knew that Gordon Hayward, ever since his Jazz days, and when he broke, I believe, his leg, when he played the Celtics, I believe it was the first game, actually, I was watching that. I think it was the Celtics and the Cavs in the first game of the season, and he broke his leg. You might need to fact check that one. But yeah, ever since then, he just hasn't been good. He's been an okay role player, but it's just been in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And yeah, Charlotte decided to go and sign him to a really big contract a couple of years ago, which I believe there's maybe 1 or 2 years left on that contract. But I don't know if you really want to pay him that much in his next payday. But yeah, LaMelo Ball is really good. When he plays, he's been really good. One of the best 3-point shooters in the league, especially from distance. However, the injury bug has plagued him. Every year we feel like we're getting an injury from his legs. And it's funny, we wonder why there's so many injuries, I remember watching Ball in the Family. And I mean, Lonzo is actually injured at the moment. And he's constantly having to get surgery. And I think there's someone that gets some tissue or something, or scrape tissue or something out of his leg quite often. We just never been able to see him on the court, which is such a shame because he has so much potential. And we're seeing the same with LaMelo Ball too. Leangelo, we saw him in that Ball in the Family documentary. A couple of times he's gotten injured, I think when he was playing Lithuania. JBA. These boys maybe, LeVar's trained too hard, got him to run too many hills and Chino hills, and that's why they have no legs left. But it's really a shame. I really hope the best for them. But in terms of the Charlotte Hornets, it was a good pick. However, I don't know if it's turned out for the best for them in terms of health. And, they've got a couple of good players. PJ Washington seems to be a really nice young stud. Miles Bridges, I don't know if he's going to come back to the team. He had some domestic violence little situation that happened. I'm not going to talk about that. That's not my place to talk about that. only talk about basketball and what's going on the court. I don't want to associate myself with anything outside the court, especially when I'm not knowledgeable on those particular topics. But, he was really good. Charlotte Hornets were looking really good last season when Miles Bridges and LaMelo Ball were throwing lobs and stuff to each other. Entertaining basketball. But yeah, it's just really hard to know what the Charlotte Hornets should do. Terry Rozier got a fantastic deal when he came from the Celtics a couple of years back. He's consistent. He's a go-to to go and get big buckets in the clutch. But it's just not enough of a team to go and be considered as playoff contenders or make any threat in the playoffs. They've got draft picks coming in the future. They're going to be in the sweepstakes for Victor. Now, I'm sorry if I'm going to say the name wrong. Victor Yabanyama. Don't trust me with names. And Scott Henderson. There's potential that they pick him up. We just don't know. But I feel like the Charlotte Hornets as an organisation have got a long way to go to be successful in the future. Oh, and then also did that trade for Plumlee to the Clippers as well, which maybe he asked for a trade. I'm not sure, but a lot of change. Sorry, Mason Plumlee. It's tough to know what to do. They got Kelly Oubre a couple of years ago from, I believe he played in the Warriors for a season. Good shooter, but there's just not enough on this team to be considered a title contender. They've got heaps of draft picks. Looking at their oncoming draft picks, they've got 5 draft picks coming up. A lot of them in the second round, but Charlotte's got a long way to go. No free agents want to go there. Next topic is the Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard said that, and this is just a quick take, Damian Lillard said that there's too much emphasis on NBA players winning rings. My response to that, and Stephen A. suggests this on NBA First Take as well as the crew, I think Brian Windhorst as well. I think in an aspect he is right, but it also depends on the situation, similar to what Stephen A. said. I think it depends what you want to define a legacy as. We've always known Damian Lillard. He's one of the best point guards of all time. Sorry about the truck. One of the best point guards of all time, but he just hasn't been surrounded with the talent. Not knocking him, and unfortunately free agents don't want to go to Portland. So that's why we kind of maybe haven't seen him, and we've always wanted him to maybe go to a big market team, but I know, I went to a Portland game once. I really love the city. I can see why he wants to stay there. But yeah, I guess it depends really on the player, and unfortunately, even though I believe he went to the Western Conference once, we just never seen Damian Lillard had that success that I think he wants to have, and with just the talent of the team. They've got a bright future. They've got a couple of nice young studs. They've got Sharp. They've got Little. They've got Simons. Nurkic keeps getting hurt. CJ McCollum went a couple of years ago. He was always a solid player. They had LaMarcus Aldridge a long time ago. Who knows? But yeah, I feel like we considered Damian Lillard. He's gonna, unfortunately, he's gonna probably miss out on some of those accolades of like an NBA title, and I think he needs an NBA title. He's already one of the best shooters of all time. But yeah, in terms of situations, we think Nurkic, and I think we're right to Jokic. Oh my god, I get confused. But I feel like we have the right to say that Jokic. We can go and ask about his credentials in his NBA career, because he's about to win his third MVP, but he has no titles to show for it, and no Western Conference Finals, and that's why we're judging him that he needs to go and win that title to kind of say so then we can define him as not just a great regular season player, but he ought to win championships. I'm trying to think of another thing. LeBron James. We don't judge LeBron, but we feel like titles are really important to his career and he's stated himself that he compares himself to be as good as or greater than Michael Jordan as the best player of all time. That's why we judge him as a player who, depending on how many titles he wins, that he's going to be one of the greatest of all time in the GOAT conversation. So yeah, it depends really on the situation. I'm trying to think of any other players. Oh yeah, James Harden, few years ago. Fantastic player. He went to the... He's been to the NBA Finals. Oh, that was when he was a lot younger in his career. And we're seeing him kind of shrink in the playoffs. He's won an MVP. I think this is the one MVP award. But we'll define him as a great regular season player. You know, he's creating so many records for himself. But then we're seeing in the playoffs, not so great. So then when we kind of define him, we want to kind of see him kind of win a championship and though he's in the older part of his career, then we can say that he has led teams to successful NBA championships. But that's just my opinion. So thanks everyone for either watching or listening to the podcast of Outback Hoops. Look forward to see you guys later and SnibDub out.